My name is Laurika Little, and I am the founder of Little Immigration. I specialize in healthcare immigration, but I also do other types of cases, such as spousal sponsorships, PNPs, citizenship, so all kinds of programs, but my niche is healthcare. So I'm really glad to be speaking about immigration pathways for healthcare professionals because, as we all know, Canada needs healthcare talent, but Canadian immigration can be complicated because there are so many different programs and each one has its own rules, their own eligibility criteria, and specific requirements. So, my goal today is to help you think clearly about your options. And I want you to leave feeling encouraged, but also prepared. So, as I said before, and I'm sure everyone is aware, Canada is facing a healthcare crisis. It's not a short term staffing blip. We are facing a structural long term gap between the healthcare the population needs and the healthcare professionals available to provide it. And immigration has become one of the most important tools Canada has to close that gap. As you probably have heard, that IRCC announced earlier this year that immigration numbers for the next 3 years will be reduced. Here's the thing. When people hear that Canada is reducing immigration numbers, they assume that Canada is closing the door. And that is not the case. The more accurate message is that Canada is trying to stabilize its immigration system. And even though Canada is reducing the numbers, IRCC's public messaging specifically identifies healthcare as one of the key sectors where Canada wants highly skilled workers. This means that healthcare remains a priority sector. And as we have seen in 2026, express entry draws continue to include healthcare and social services. For healthcare professionals, this means that the opportunity is still there. Canada continues to need healthcare talent, but your route depends on your profile and your eligibility for federal or provincial programs. Being a healthcare professional does not mean that you will automatically get approval for permanent residence. It means that you should be building your PR strategy that fits the program that you're eligible to apply under. So, for example, a family doctor outside Canada, or a nurse already working in Canada, or a healthcare support worker in a rural community may all need different PR routes. So, as I said before, the strategy is figuring out which pathway fits your profile. Now, before we talk about specific pathways, I want to make sure that everyone has an understanding of how Canadian immigration actually works. Because the single most common mistake I see, and it has cost people money and time, is that people jump to a specific program without understanding the structure. Think of Canada's economic immigration system as operating under three complementary streams. The first is the federal stream, then the provincial stream, and then the community-driven stream. Healthcare professionals can qualify under programs administered through all three streams. And this is actually great news. It means that there are multiple possible pathways. Again, the strategy would be figuring out which pathway is the best fit for you. So the express entry is what most of the people know about. But you should know that express entry is not an immigration program. It is the management system that IRCC uses to run three federal immigration programs. So those are the Federal Skilled Worker Program, the Canadian Experience Class, and the Federal Skilled Trade Program. You probably know the process on how it works. So candidates submit a profile, receive a comprehensive ranking score, and then they sit in the pool. And IRCC then holds draws. Sometimes the draws are open to everyone in the pool, and sometimes they are targeted at specific categories. And then the invitation is issued and people apply. In 2023, IRCC introduced category-based selection within the express entry system. The first draw that took place targeted healthcare professionals. And since then, IRCC has been regularly conducting draws under the healthcare and social services category. Last year, 14,500 ITAs were issued to healthcare professionals under this program. There is a list of 37 occupations that fall under this category. And to be eligible, you need at least 12 months of full-time or equivalent part-time work experience in the last 3 years in a single eligible occupation. And as I said, your occupation must be on the eligibility list. Also, to qualify, you must be eligible for either the Federal Skilled Worker Program or the Canadian Experience class. The introduction of healthcare and social services category-based draws has been a game changer, as it allowed healthcare workers to get their PR without having CRS scores in the 500s. For example, in the last two healthcare draws, the cutoff score was 476 and 472. So healthcare workers have really benefited from category-based draws. So to continue the story on how Canada is trying to attract healthcare workers, earlier this year, IRCC announced a separate express entry category specifically for foreign medical doctors with Canadian work experience. And this isn't the same as the general healthcare and social service category. The physician category is for doctors who have at least 1 year of full-time Canadian work experience as a medical doctor within the last 3 years, and they have to be eligible for one of the express entry managed programs. The other announcement that IRCC made this year is that they have set aside 5,000 reserved spaces for provinces and territories to nominate medical doctors who have job offers or letters of support. And this is outside the normal allocation that each province has for their own PNP program. And once nominated, doctors can then apply for an expedited work permit processing while their PR application is being processed. This is a significant development. It's sending a strong signal that Canada is actively targeting physicians. If you are a nurse or any other healthcare occupation, do not underestimate your options. The Healthcare and Social Services Express Entry category was built with this group in mind. Since its introduction in 2023, thousands of nurses and other healthcare professionals have received their PR through category-based draws. Here's something you should be aware of. In 2026, IRCC raised the minimum experience from 6 months to 12 months. So make sure that you meet the new eligibility criteria. If you're a healthcare worker outside Canada, my advice to you is to start with understanding the licensing process and then decide which program would fit your profile. And don't wait for the licensing process to finish before planning immigration. Build both tracks in parallel. Now, a lot of people focus only on their CRS scores because they think that the only way to get their PR is through one of the express entry programs. But healthcare is very province-driven because provinces are also trying to solve the healthcare workforce problems that they are facing. So every province has their own program to attract healthcare workers. Also, a provincial nomination through an express entry aligned PNP program adds 600 CRS points, which almost guarantees an ITA. But, and unfortunately, there is a but. Most of the provincial programs require a job offer and proof of licensing. Some provinces like Alberta, BC, Saskatchewan, and Nova Scotia have dedicated healthcare pathways. These are more direct pathways, which means that the process to apply for permanent residency is more streamlined. However, the eligibility criteria is usually a combination of occupation, job offer, licensing eligibility, and your intention to live and work in that province. Other provinces use expression of interest-based selection to conduct their healthcare focused draws. But whether it is a dedicated healthcare pathway or an expression of interest, the strongest applications are those that combine four things. The first is a qualifying job offer, licensure to practice, strong language results, and an eligible employer. For healthcare professionals, it's not just about picking a province. It's really about understanding the right pathway based on your occupation and licensing and your eligibility criteria for that particular program. So in the interest of time, I won't go through all the PNP pathways. I'll just give you a high-level overview of only the dedicated healthcare pathways. So let's talk about BC. So BC has the Health Authority stream. It is designed for healthcare professionals who have a full-time permanent job offer in an eligible role with one of the province's public health authorities. And what makes this stream especially appealing is that eligible candidates can apply directly through an employer-supported pathway. So they don't have to compete in regular draws. Saskatchewan's health talent pathway is employer-driven and works really well for healthcare workers who already have a confirmed job offer. It is also open for overseas applicants. And to qualify, you need a permanent full-time job offer in the healthcare sector from an approved Saskatchewan employer. And Nova Scotia offers one of the most straightforward pathways for physicians. It's focused on roles like family physicians, general practitioners, or specialists. And for this program, you need a job offer from Nova Scotia Health or the IWK Health Center. Okay, so I know I had said I wasn't going to talk about provinces, but I think I should address Ontario. So, not sure if you have heard that Ontario is redesigning the OINP program and announced that as of May 30th, all 9 OINP streams have been cancelled. Applications that were submitted before May 30th will be processed based on the eligibility criteria that was in place at the time you applied. However, at this time, there is really no clear update on whether the expression of interest profiles that was submitted before May 30th will be carried forward or cancelled. And we don't know when the new OINP would be launched. But I'm quite certain that there would be a stream for healthcare within the new program that Ontario launches. So let's talk about the rural and francophone community pathway. The rural community immigration pilot and the francophone community immigration pilot are designed to connect skilled workers with communities that have real labor needs. And there are 18 communities in this program. I just want to stress that these pathways aren't just about occupation, they are for healthcare professionals who are genuinely open to working in and living in smaller communities. And so for these, you will need a job offer from a designated employer. You will have to fulfill the language and education requirements. And in some cases, you might need to show settlement funds. You will need to prove that you are actually planning to live in the community. For French-speaking healthcare professionals, the Francophone pathway can be especially important. Canada is also prioritizing Francophone immigration outside Quebec. One of the sessions later this afternoon is going to be on Francophone immigration, so I would encourage you to attend it. So if you are thinking of applying, these are the 3 questions that you should ask yourself. The first is, what is your occupation and NOC? And remember, your NOC should be based on your duties. If you've attended earlier presentations, you do know that your NOC is based on your duties and not on your job title. Then figure out if you can enter the express entry through either federal skilled worker or through CEC. Then look at all the PNPs and see if you are eligible for one of the PNP programs. Do you qualify for one of the category programs, such as healthcare or physician category? And does your profession require licensing? And least but not the last, do you have the documents to prove what you are claiming? So your education, your language, your licensing, etc. So I want to quickly go through some of the assumptions that people have, which come up in my consultations. One of them is that people are assuming that if they are in healthcare, it means that they will automatically get their invitation. And really, the reality is that the category-based selections can improve your chance, but there is no guarantee. You still have to be eligible for either the Federal Skilled Worker Program or the CEC to be even eligible for category-based invitation. The second is, and this really surprises me, because people still think that they get CRS points for a job offer, for arranged employment. And so in March 2025, IRCC removed the CRS points for arranged employment. But a job offer can still matter for your PNP, if you're applying under a PNP program. And then the other thing, and I know you've heard it a million times in these past 2 years, is that your job title does not prove you're not. Your job duties is what you should be looking at. And the other thing that people normally get confused about is that PR and licensing are the same pathway. They are not. They are separate systems. If you get a PR, you do not have you cannot practice. You do need a license if you are in a regulated profession. The other thing is that people seem to think that the bigger provinces are better. I always tell them that really what should matter is your credentials and the demand that a province has, and whether you have the profile to fit in the programs that they are offering. And the last one I want to talk about is, people seem to think that they will put in their PR profile and then work on their documents later. And I always tell them that, once you get your ITA, you only have 60 days. So build your documentation package before you enter the pool. So if you are a healthcare worker seriously thinking about Canada, this is a really good time for you, because Canada is really looking for healthcare workers. There is a real shortage of healthcare talent. And here's a practical framework that I give to healthcare professionals who are serious about moving forward. So the first thing is, confirm your NOC, gather your employment proof, book or improve your language testing, and then map your immigration and your licensing strategy. Well, that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much. I hope you found the information I provided helpful. If you need help figuring out the best pathway for yourself, you can book a consultation with me. You can also connect with me on social media through LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok.